Hello and welcome to a special edition of the Leaderboard. I'm your host, Efren with none other than Ian, what do they call you, Double Jump Barker?
I believe that's the name.
Today we are talking about YouTube gaming because unless you've been living under a rock, that shit just landed, guys, and it's pretty cool. Ian, you've been looking at it for a while now. What do you think so far? Impressions off the back while we have it here playing on the big screen.
Yeah, I just looking at it right off the bat, my initial impression, the thing that first hit me was, this thing is sexy.
It's graphic. It's pretty. There's moving images. You know, I like the dark background that the splash page has. Just looks pretty, right? Mm-hmm. But you were saying?
It's this is sort of design is sort of a hobby of mine. One that I'm extremely bad at. But I like to look at things and understand how they're designed. And if the thing that immediately hits me about YouTube gaming is it's very much designed with the idea of multiple content formats in mind. Obviously, it was launched as a streaming platform, but one thing that we see a great deal just right off the bat is along the left side, you've got games. Along the right side, you've got the people that you're following. They've sort of made a really concentrated effort to incorporate the whole sphere of sort of gaming engagement and things like that with videos on YouTube already, and now they just added a streaming component.
So when I, for instance, use Twitch, I don't always just search by the channel I like or the person that I like to follow, whether it be Team Spooky or whatever the case may be.
True.
I'll look Street Fighter V. So that's what I did. I went up here on the front page. You can search for games. Type in Street Fighter 5, see if anybody's playing the beta right now. It's been out, the stress tests are going on. Let's see if anybody's playing. First of all, look, if you click on, when the menu drops down, if you click on the actual title here, it'll take you to the official Street Fighter 5 splash page. As you can see, there's nobody playing it right now, but a video that I would click on anyway is front and center. And this is Gutex with his tutorial that he just put out a couple of days ago. So even if you're going for live stream content and you don't find it, there's plenty to keep you there.
Exactly.
Which I think is brilliant. We'll see how that rolls out. Now, let's see what happens if we put in, what would be a good game? Street Fighter 4, how about that?
Street Fighter 4 is a good one.
Let's type in Ultra Street Fighter 4 because I did check it just a second ago and there was somebody streaming. So here we go, Ultra Street Fighter 4, click it, let's see what happens. It takes us to its splash page. And you can tell right here that Bifuteki, who is a well-known streamer in the fighting game world, is the only one streaming Street Fighter right now. And to a whopping 10 people, well, it was 9 until we just clicked on it. Now there's 10 people watching.
We are the 1%.
And
10%.
There you go. So that's Bifuteki and he's streaming. That's not a particularly interesting stream so far. But the idea being that whole concept of having it all there. Oh, I didn't get what I was looking for, but look at all this other content that is relevant. It's not just we talk a lot about search engine optimization. It's not just because it says Street Fighter 5. That Gutex video is something that I would watch, which I thought was a good touch. Go ahead.
And that's actually, I'd like to touch on a couple things that you've discussed already. One of the immediate things that I noticed about YouTube gaming, and obviously, this isn't a publicity thing. We're not here to advertise YouTube gaming, but as people who broadcast to you fine folks at home and who try to put videos out there that you would be interested in, that idea of content discovery is extremely important. And speaking, in generally about Twitch, one of the most difficult things I think for new streamers is finding an audience in sort of the melee that is the channel listings. If you want to find our channel, for example, you have to scroll all the way down the games list to gaming talk shows. You have to find it, and then you have to go maybe, I think we're usually like second or third down, maybe fourth if Rocket Beans is streaming. Good old Rocket Beans. And this obviously doesn't put the idea of discovery or the onus of discovery in the user's hands. What it does, and what's something that YouTube's done very well for a long time, is it uses an algorithm, it uses its presentation, and it uses connected content in order to sort of lead you on down the rabbit hole. Because you talked about, you went to look for Street Fighter 4. Nobody that you are familiar with is streaming, but there are videos there, which means you're spending time on their site, which is good for YouTube, and frankly, good for people who produce content for that sphere, because even if they show up looking for example, Gutex, and he's not streaming, there's a video there, and you're suddenly on the same playing field as a guy like Gutex by being associated with a game as opposed to
correct
a
now,
community.
The thing is, so you would say Granted, it literally just dropped like a couple
yes,
hours ago.
correct.
Like, maybe tonight more people will be using it.
Yep.
But the idea being that, Twitch is saturated. Let me go to YouTube where I'm going to get all the eyeballs. We just went to a Street Fighter 4 stream and there was a total of 10 people watching. So it's not like, magic wand, you have views, you have an audience. That being said, they're definitely, as you pointed out, they're doing what YouTube does best and serving up content. Now, the front page. Let's go back to the front page here and see what they got going on here. This is not your average YouTube presentation. In fact, it looks like it takes a couple of cues, of course, from their main competitor, Twitch. That being that the front page has, select channels that are currently live that they have put up there. I'm not sure if that's based on views, based on popularity. For instance, this FIFA stream that's right here in the middle of the screen, that guy's channel already has his regular YouTube channel, right, where he uploads his videos, has over 1 million subscribers. Maybe that has something to do with the reason that since he's live, he's up there. Now, the differences that I noticed are this. First of all, I think it's super cool that it starts with a thumbnail, and you're going to see it fade out into the content.
And there it goes.
So here we go. This is the one we were just on, the FIFA guy. That's him. I know who. Hey, that's the guy I like. Imagine it's a picture of Gutex, the guy that I like to watch, and it would transition right into it. You don't hear anything.
You don't.
There's no option here. I'm scrolling my mouse on it. There's no option to, hey, let me hear this. You have to click it and it takes you to the page. That's not a big deal, right?
No.
Twitch, on the other hand, has that same presentation. So that's what I'm saying. They took a cue from that on that front page of letting them showcase or feature their partners.
Correct.
You can hear it from there.
Yeah.
You can't chat from there, and you can't chat from there on this either. So let's see what happens when we click on it. Let's go in there. This dude has 3,600 people watching, and if you've ever, he's having a good time. Yeah, it's still a video game stream, right?
Yep.
If you've ever visited any or spent any kind of time on a streaming platform, the chat's right there, so you feel right at home.
That's correct.
How do you feel about this presentation?
So let's if you wouldn't mind,
let's
think of our fans headed back to the homepage. There are a couple things that I really like about the way that they've done the homepage here. First of all, we don't obviously have access to the YouTube gaming black box. So the question is, how are they discovering things? I would imagine at this point they were trying to put some of their best content forward. The algorithm today probably favors just getting people out there as a proof of concept with several thousand viewers. So there's probably an element of popularity. The question becomes, and one thing that YouTube does really well, and Google has done really well because they mine your data, is looking at the things that you do and the behavior that you exhibit on the internet, especially in terms of purchases, interests, and in this case, games that you're interested in, and then serving you content that you'd be interested in. Because obviously, the better they can facilitate a connection between the content and the user, the more likely they are to show ads. So one thing that they do really well here, you talked about how it shows the static image and then it slides in. Difference between this and Twitch is in Twitch you have a standard branding. Right, you have a small square on the bottom. If you're featured, that's another thing to talk about. If you're featured, and you do get the sound. But for me as a user, one thing that's important to me is page load times. If it's not immediately loading a video, then the page load time is probably a little bit better for slower computers. I haven't tested it or anything like that. Raw speculation. That's just my initial impression. Second, getting blasted with audio. How many times have you tuned into a Twitch stream and they're playing like Japanese kitty rap or they're screaming about something? Is that the first thing you want when you log into the front page? Probably not.
Probably not. You're right.
So the question then becomes is after the carousel updates, after the algorithm updates, if they are in fact changing it, will people come in here and see, okay, I'm a FIFA person. This guy's front. Oh, I guess this is Minecraft now.
You want the FIFA? Let me get you the FIFA.
Right, yeah, let's see how he's doing. Is this guy front and center for this guy every time? And then a League of Legends person sees something different. Those are the questions that I have. Is this going to serve you content? And if it does, I think that is de facto better than Twitch's model of, in order to get featured, you got to be partnered.
Ian, you just touched on something that we definitely need to talk about, which is, you mentioned League of Legends, right?
Yes.
We're looking at FIFA on the screen right now.
Correct.
When you compare YouTube and Twitch, you're comparing gaming WePlays and content of that type. Not necessarily casual gamer, but certainly not as heavy in the competitive gaming.
True.
Twitch certainly has made its bread and butter in a lot of the WePlays as well, but certainly on the esports, and you can't overstate that.
Definitely.
So will these League of Legends guys start coming over to YouTube, or is this just a thing for YouTube to get more play and they're not particularly? I mean, I've watched live content, esports content on YouTube before,
Sure.
but I mostly go to Twitch for that.
Yeah.
This has a built-in audience. So, for instance, and I was talking to my cousin in Mexico, and he was telling me that the hottest thing right now is this FIFA stuff.
Really?
And his videos get millions of views, and they have, they do like the unboxing, so to speak, videos to get their players and see
The
all
packs and stuff like that.
that. Exactly. So, that audience already is going to YouTube.
Yep.
Now they can watch their favorite guy live.
Yep.
Is that all YouTube needs to be successful, or do they need to take a bite out of that esports pie?
This is a doozy. Okay, let me try to break it down for you. So, speaking a little bit on the industry side of things, one thing that stands out to me is the fact that we haven't even touched on yet. I'm sorry if you were planning for this for later, but one thing that we've already noticed is the built-in DVR. That's been on YouTube forever. As somebody who likes to watch the LCS, for example, and do other things at the same time, but doesn't want to miss the action, and then I try.
You mentioned sometimes you have to go grab a sandwich.
I have to grab a sandwich or a beer or
Exactly.
or a concubine. And the problem with that setup for me as a user is that I'm sort of stuck. Pentakill. Oh, I missed it. In YouTube, I can literally go right back. And you could say that's not a big deal, wait for the VOD, things like that. But let's not ignore the fact that getting to rewind live television or even recorded television and skip through the commercials is what made TiVo. It's what changed how people watch satellite and cable television for a generation.
Very interesting,
Yes.
and I think that's a game changer. The whole
think so?
idea of the instant replay, right?
I agree.
You're right, and to be honest, at first blush, it's a minor thing. No, that is huge.
Yeah.
Especially, I'm the fighting games enthusiast of the bunch.
Mm-hmm.
Those aren't drawn out 30-minute matches. These are sometimes a minute and a half. And I'm like, oh, crap, I missed that perfect, right?
Yeah.
Let me hit the replay and watch it, and then I'll catch up.
Exactly.
Interesting. I think that actually could be quite the game changer.
I agree as well. The question then becomes, as you so eloquently put it, do they need the esports audience? Obviously, something like DVR is something that is beneficial almost specifically to an esports audience, because if you watch a live streamer, they're doing a lot of things. They're sitting around, they're opening packs. You don't really need a replay unless there's a good reaction, but it's still there for you, so that's good. In terms of courting the esports audience, I think the thing that we need to consider is that part of the play for YouTube gaming was the fact that they already had an enormous gaming audience.
Mm-hmm.
They already had an enormous gaming in what some people would call casual games like Minecraft, games like non-competitive Call of Duty. So do they need esports? Honestly, I think the answer is no. A guy like PewDiePie can throw up a stream and suddenly have
Can you imagine when that guy? I'd be interested to see what kind of numbers he pulls in when he streams. He'd probably break 1 million. I wouldn't be surprised.
And that actually brings me to another point. One of the interesting things, one of the struggles for broadcasters for a long time has been bridging the content gap between Twitch and YouTube. Twitch obviously allows you to export videos to YouTube, and you can obviously stream on both Twitch and YouTube simultaneously. But there's always just been a bridge between the two. And did I use that phrase right?
It's funny that you bring it up because I'll watch a tournament over the weekend on Twitch, a Street Fighter tournament,
Yep.
and then I'll wait for the replays on YouTube to catch them all. Anything I missed, I'll wait for them on replay. I will not go back to the archive all that often
Exactly.
because it's not that great of a viewing experience.
Mm-hmm.
Here, as you were pointing out, you got it all right there.
Yeah. And furthermore, they juxtapose streaming and prepared content just seamlessly. It's almost a knock on YouTube gaming. It's almost hard to tell which is live and which is prepared. I mean, there's a little red live button, so
right.
Unless you're colorblind, then maybe it's easy. But the fact is that when I'm waiting for a stream and I'm switching back between services, once again, this is another one of those quality of life things that seems small, but the fact that I can watch YouTube videos, live streams, and related content.
Are you ready for this inception that we're about to get into?
Oh, God.
Check that out.
Is that what I look like?
This is going to be really awkward. Let me first kill the audio, but that you are seeing what you think you're seeing. That is us watching us on YouTube gaming. So what happens if we scroll down here, though, is what I want to know.
You scroll down the page.
Oh, wait, I have to go hit back here.
Mm-hmm.
if we scroll down, check it out. All of our content is right here.
And I was talking with you before the show. I wanted to discuss sort of, both as a broadcaster and as a user, as a broadcaster ourselves, the fact that we can have people go to our page and we've got this seamless presentation of all of our content all at once means that, is this a chance for us to introduce people to other things that we do, like the Quickcast, or introduce them to an interview.
Instead of saying, go check out our YouTube channel, just say, scroll down.
Yeah, they literally don't even have to scroll the mouse wheel down on the Twitch page and click a link. It's right there.
Mm-hmm.
Even in we saw on the streaming page there was a suggested videos tab. It's right there too. It's so important. One thing that I've learned a lot about when I was doing content marketing is you need to eliminate friction for the user.
Sure, make it as easy as possible.
Precisely, and I feel like that's one thing that this platform does extremely well is eliminate those gaps, those little sort of annoying, typing in a URL, these things that once again seem small, but when you add them all up, suddenly make a big difference, both for users trying to get to content and for people who are trying to introduce people to their other content.
Now, by no means is Twitch out of this fight.
God, no.
Certainly
Not even a
not.
little.
They have years on YouTube engendering, loyalty, so to
Yes.
speak. They have community managers for all the different, from fighting games, for this, that, and the other. They go out there and they're making those connections. And a lot of people feel and I'm not just talking about esports, but certainly in esports, a lot of people feel that loyalty towards Twitch. This is where Twitch helped us grow our scene, so to speak.
Absolutely, yeah.
And of course, Twitch is backed by Amazon, and that's nothing to
No small fish.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here? Is there a battle? Twitch in the past and other streaming sites like is it Zubu? They've actually gone out there and had contracts with players. You're going to stream exclusively on our platform. Are they going to start hitting that harder? Is YouTube going to start doing that? How's the landscape going to change? And I think it's exciting.
Yeah, I agree. And I think there are a few comparisons that we could make between Azubu and, for example, MLG TV or even OWN TV as competitors to Twitch and what YouTube is doing here. And the first one I'll look at is the user interface. One thing we noticed about Azubu is it's actually laid out very similar to Twitch. There's this library of content, the streams are there, you sort of get to it. The same thing with OWN TV when it existed about 1 billion years ago. It was just, it was a big smorgasbord of content. It's sort of all laid out there. Twitch maybe, beat them to the punch because they got the broadcasters, but the UI is still largely unchanged, to be completely frank. It's a smorgasbord of content and it is your job to find it. Now, the thing about YouTube gaming and the thing that they've done very differently is that as a child of Google, they have not only the data centers, that's actually something I'll talk about in a little bit, but the developer teams to give them sort of an edge, because this presents the content. When you look at the page, there's a right-hand bar that shows you all of the people you follow with a little red, I believe it's a little red dot when they're live, and you can just click on it, and there it is.
I haven't added any specific channels that I follow, so I'm not sure who all of these are. But on the left side, I did already type in Street Fighter V and Mortal Kombat, just as a test right before we went. But you were saying?
But yeah, and the same thing with the left-hand bar. They basically put everything that you want right there on the front page. You don't have to click channels. You don't have to click browse. You just type in gaming.youtube.com, and there it is. There it is. And that's a huge boon, once again, for users and content creators. The other thing that it does really well, and this is where I think perhaps YouTube gaming is going to give Twitch a run for their money, is something we've mentioned already quite a bit, and that's content discovery. The fact that Twitch facilitates your search for content discovery by maybe putting things in your path, maybe organizing the games in a nice and neat manner. YouTube literally says, here's what you want to watch. They put on the white gloves, they grab the silver platter, and they give you a video. And that is an enormous, once again, I keep saying this because this really is an impactful moment for gaming streaming. It's an enormous development, to be frank.
So there's a comment that we're getting. This is on the Twitch chat, Josh. This is a comment from Apple Cause 12. I would say it's pretty bad. Yes, they got a better layout, in my opinion. But a big part is the chat with mods and stuff. Interesting. And that is just lacking hard in YouTube gaming. Won't get onto it when it's about the chat.
So thank you for the comment, by the way. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. So is he suggesting that there isn't enough moderation or that there's too much moderation?
My take on that is that at the very least, it needs to step its game up when it comes to chat moderation.
Sure. And I think that sort of comes down to community building. One thing that is invariably clear about what Twitch has that YouTube does not have yet is a very defined, very unique culture. Kappa, Franker Z, the memes, there's entire legends and fan fictions built up around the streamers and the people in those streams. Even there are people that are even well known just because they're in chat. They don't even broadcast, they're just in a lot of chats, and so people know them. And so there's a whole idea of building community. And I think that's where YouTube gaming is going to probably take some time to develop, is developing its personality, sort of growing to conform to the niches that it's trying to embrace. And that's something that Twitch already does very well. But if anybody can do it, it's the website that already facilitates billions and billions of views in gaming videos every single month, I think.
So look, this one just went offline. And as you can tell, it's offline with a thing going like that. The other thing
is he mad? It looks like he's mad.
He's very mad that they just
the
went offline. Yes, that's what it looks like to me. But let's go ahead and switch over to the next one. See, actually, I wish these would cycle already. Like we've already been going through these, and it's a gaming stream chat. I hate to say it, but there's got to be a pretty girl.
And
anyway,
what? That's fine.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing.
That's
I'm gonna hit a refresh on it to see if we get new
it.
channels.
Yep.
I'm sorry. I was going to
go
mention to you that what was this? 2011, when I was still in grad school for journalism, I did an interview with a much younger at the time, Ben Goldhaber, also known as Fish Sticks of Twitch.
Yes.
And Own3D, as you mentioned earlier, had just literally like a month prior gone, evaporated, folded. Shady. We don't need to go into that story, but a lot of the employees found out online, not from their actual boss. But that's a conversation for another day.
Indeed.
And I asked Ben specifically that question. This is about to blow up. Do you have any competition? Are you even worried? He goes, well, Own3D, our biggest competitor, just folded. So I guess if YouTube ever decides to jump into this space, then we'll be worried. That was years ago. It's taken this long. And of course, Google tried to buy Twitch. It didn't work out.
Correct.
And they ended up going with Amazon. But this is a very interesting development in that the whole idea of live streaming content, whether it's gaming or hell, and I'll give more detail here, more context in a second, but even a woman eating noodles in Japan is getting tons of view. People are the habits are changing.
Yes.
People are wanting to watch live content more and more, regardless of what it is. It just so happens that gaming was a perfect thing to start with because it's easy. People like gaming. People are already watching it. Let's live stream it. Sounds great. But I'm telling you, we're about to enter into a new, the Periscope on Twitter, all this thing. Live streaming is about to hit. It's going to be huge. And I think these are going to be small players at the end of the day, potentially, when we get to the full landscape of live content, you were saying.
It's interesting that you bring up, sort of obscure content on Twitch, because I remember there was an evening where we were streaming and we were being beat rather handily. I'm not salty about it. By a young Scandinavian child who was getting high on sugar and dancing to techno music. It's and that just speaks to what you're talking about. The simple fact is that people want streaming content, from the bizarre to the polished. People will watch an LCS broadcast as quickly as they will watch the European chunk from
exactly
doing basically the truffle shuffle to Eurodance, and it's an interesting development to me, because one thing that people have had a complaint about with Twitch a lot is that they're a little slow on the development side of things. They do what they do very well, but as a smaller company that was working to get their feet on the ground, they haven't developed things like DVR. It doesn't exist. Their VOD system was suspect when it first launched, and even until maybe a couple months ago, people were still having problems with it. And it's still really not a destination that you go to for VODs. People went to YouTube for that stuff. With this competition stepping in, I feel like there's a couple things we need to look out for. First of all, who gives you the best deal? If you're a broadcaster,
as a broadcaster,
if you're looking to shop your content, do I go to YouTube and do I exist as maybe a small fish in a larger pond, or do I go to Twitch where maybe it's harder to build an audience, but once I've got that cult following, the money comes in, man. The money shows up. I mean, you look at guys like Soda Poppin' and Summit, great streamers who are extremely entertaining. Duck Sauce is another one, and they obviously do great for themselves streaming content. So the two questions I have is, one, can Twitch step up their development game to keep pace with whatever YouTube's going to come out with? Because there's no question that launching a full service, launching a full PR campaign, having a team dedicated to it, YouTube is serious about taking over the streaming market. They want it, they've got the guns for it, and they're coming for Twitch. But is Twitch a better deal?
We'll see. So right now it's Twitch was doing its thing, YouTube was doing its thing. Now YouTube is doing Twitch's thing.
Yes.
Does Twitch need to do YouTube's thing? We don't know.
That's a good question.
But you talk about Soda Poppin', these guys, like, it doesn't matter what they're playing. They're popular, so if you click on their channel, regardless of the game they're playing, there's going to be an audience. That exists on YouTube. We talked about PewDiePie. If PewDiePie goes live, I'm telling you, every time he runs an ad, if YouTube Gaming implements that functionality, that's just like literally printing money, man. Just ad whenever you want, and just I have visions of Scrooge McQuack in his big old vault swimming through the coins, man. Seriously.
Yeah, and the another
Scrooge McDuck.
That's all right. Scrooge McQuack, Quackins McScroogels.
Yeah, Quackins McScroogels. Exactly.
There's another guy that I would draw a parallel to. We have more concrete numbers on, and that's Markiplier. Markiplier, Mark Fishbach, and he does scary games on YouTube. He also does some funny stuff. Very, very likable guy. A lot of people are big fans of his, and he does a charity stream once every several months. Several months of downtime. He has, I don't have the statistics in front of me, but he has well into the 8 figures on views. He has more follows than you can shake a stick at. And when he goes live, he has like 50,000 viewers. This is a guy who's got 6.1 million subscribers on YouTube, no presence on Twitch, pops on over there, boom, 50,000 viewers. And that's more than even some of the big streamers get when they go live on a nightly basis.
Let's try an experiment. First of all, somebody in the chat asked, okay, we have a Gears of War stream going right now. How do I add it? Boom, right here. Is there a sub button? So here you go. Add him. Now he's on the thing. Now let's go to his channel. Jack Frags.
Jack Frags.
Totally baller name. But what I want to do is check it out on YouTube. Let's go to youtube.com and look up Jack Frags and see what it looks like. Like, will it tell you, hey, we're live over here on YouTube Gaming? That's not how you spell YouTube.
If that's porn, and God help us.
Okay, Jack Frags. Let's see what happens here. Okay, this is his channel, live now, as you can see right there. So I click it. Will it take me back to YouTube? No.
No, it will not.
But I guarantee you it's the exact same feed, of course. And here's the chat. Now, let's see. This last person who make a comment here is Wrecked by Nasa Niru.
I've never heard that one before.
Yeah, me either. Is that something popular that people say?
How did you get there? Oh, you went back to the channel.
Yeah, I'm just flipping through. But where did the chat go? Now that's my question. Am I missing it?
Nope, it's gone.
No, I'm sure I just clicked something off. Here it is. Nope. Wait.
Nope.
Huh?
Yeah, it's gone. That's actually something I was going to point out to you is if you go to the channel page and scroll down, I wondered why you could scroll so far down. Boom. Blows the content up.
You reminded me, okay, I had gone to his actual channel through gaming.youtube. I don't see Wrecked, but I would imagine it's probably a crossover. There's not going to be 2 stream chats with it.
No, I can't imagine that there isn't, or that there's a difference between the two. Yeah, and I mean, once again, talks about a little bit about what I was saying earlier with seamless content presentation. If we talked a little bit earlier about if I'm bored while waiting for the LCS to start up again, I can pop over and see a video. The fact that I can scroll down on their user page and bam, there's the stream. That speaks once again to the idea that there hasn't been a lot of crossover between Twitch and YouTube, and now, streaming and YouTube at large, and now suddenly YouTube has deployed it in a way that allows them to just hit it. Along with that, he talked about, is there a sub button? The crazy thing about this is YouTube subscribers have long been really difficult to come by. That's why people value them when they get to 6 million, 9 million, or I believe PewDiePie has 36 million. But in this ecosystem, adding somebody on Twitch Gaming is a subscribe. it is a subscribe. They're one and the same. In the same, in a much more practical sense, streaming and produced content are now one and the same on this platform. And I have to say, I have to speak objectively as a broadcaster. That's an exciting proposition. You know, that way we don't have to do extra effort trying to get people to go to two different websites. Plus, it boosts your SEO profile. If I can get really technical.
So you brought up Markiplier. I looked him up. This is his page. Now, we're not on the traditional YouTube page that we always go to see his stuff.
Correct.
This is the gaming.youtube. So what I'm trying to point out here is that forget YouTube for all this gaming content. Yeah, it's obviously they're the same, and I'm sure the views are shared. It's not like they're competing against themselves. No. But if you want gaming content, just go straight to gaming.youtube. And this is a really snappy presentation.
And the truth be told, I, as a YouTube user, as somebody who's actually pretty active on YouTube, believe it or not, I could literally do all of my YouTubing from this website. And having users on there, even if not just to stream, just looking at other content puts you on other people's radar. I talked a little bit with you before the show about how we have the sidebar on the left-hand side that shows you games specifically. You can open up the Counter-Strike tab, you can open up the Mortal Kombat tab, and you can see a collection of content for that game. And suddenly, this invokes the idea that content and presentation and users within a specific game are a contiguous community, as they've always been. Now, with the way that the user interface is set up, they are more formally part of an environment. So suddenly, League of Legends, people who produce League of Legends fail videos, guys like Sky Williams who produce funny videos, they're suddenly in the same, literally on the same search results page as the League of Legends official broadcast.
It's going to be interesting to see how this shakes up. One thing we haven't been talking about, which is interesting, something that YouTube does that other video sites don't do, is 3D, my friend.
Oh.
So, I mean, at the very base level, you can snap on your... what's the Oculus VR thing? You pop it into your phone on your head, and somebody in the chat from the YouTube chat, not the Twitch chat,
this is so much
asked,
fun.
by the by, what's the difference in audio and visual quality of Twitch versus YouTube gaming? First of all, YouTube can do 60 frames per second, and I think Twitch can do that. Is that right, Josh? Twitch can do 60 frames per second?
If you do source, you can. But YouTube is actually able to encode it to 720 60 frames, 1080 60 frames, whereas I believe if you wanted 60 frames on Twitch... you know what? I'm not going to quote on that. I don't want to quote misinformation.
But the question from Joshua Corbett was specifically about that 3D videos and such. Is that going to be implemented in the streaming platform? Now we're talking, man.
Yeah, we're talking.
Get into some 3D stuff. But not only that, this is like getting into WALL-E territory from the Disney movie. I want my screen here and my Slurpee here. And I don't want to have to worry about
300 pounds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why not, man? Like, let me just watch some Street Fighter like this in bed, and then if I fall asleep,
Seriously.
hopefully it'll know some way to do it. But 3D is not just the VR thing. It's of course the games themselves.
Yes.
You can watch 3D content. You can watch VR content.
Can you imagine? I'm gonna riddle me this. Can you imagine watching Street Fighter in stereoscopic 3D? Can you imagine that?
Well, this is the thing. For when Mortal Kombat came out, Mortal Kombat 9, the previous Mortal Kombat, not the one that's currently being played, it had a mode. And, of course, Sony had its little mini splash where they came out with their official gaming TV, and it was 3D capable.
Yep.
Nobody played it in 3D. It certainly was not played like that at tournaments. Nobody, I mean, I never heard of anybody. I wanted to try it for fun.
You're not going to play it. Are you going to watch it? Would you watch fighting games in 3D?
Yes, I would love to watch it. You know, there was the Street Fighter 3DS game that came out, and it had the you could put it in 3D, and you could actually like skew the angle on it a little bit so that you could see it at an angle. But okay, would I watch Street Fighter 5 in 3D when it comes out if it had that ability? Hell yes. Yeah. Would you watch Call of Duty and other shooters? No.
God, no.
Let me drop another name. South by Southwest, also 2011. I talked to none other than Palmer Luckey, creator of Oculus Rift. And I asked him specifically that. What's going on with the Oculus Rift and esports? And his first thing he said, I mean, I didn't bother bringing up any kind of genre of game or anything. He said, you couldn't do it. You couldn't play. First of all, like imagine trying to do a 180 no scope, whatever the hell shot, right?
You'd throw up all over your
he's like, doing this, right? He's like, no, you wouldn't be able to do it. You wouldn't be able to do it. Now imagine watching that. I get sick watching Quake Live. I used to get sick playing GoldenEye, okay? Like I just couldn't watch the screen enough or long enough without feeling, nauseous. Put that on your eyes and put that, like you can't escape it. I wonder. There's going to be just put on like a doggy bag before you start watching, I guess. I'm not sure. Your thoughts? Would you watch stuff in 3D if you could?
I will. I totally agree. I think in games that have a great deal of motion, it's probably not a good idea to watch it in 3D. I'm not someone who regularly gets motion sick, and when I watch something in 3D, I get a little motion sick. I think part of that has to do with the fact that your brain is confused because it's not a true 3D image. It's stereoscopic. Got one for you.
Lay it on me.
What if, and we're going to go clear down the rabbit hole. We're going to go to Minority Report like level futurism.
Okay.
What if instead of watching a stream from your home, watching the
You're watching it,
stream,
what's going to happen in the future? Like in Minority
No, you have a
Report?
tank full of people that tell you what's going to happen. Yeah. But what if instead of just watching a two-dimensional stream or even watching a three-dimensional stream of the content that they already have for you, you are watching from a seat in the stadium?
Now that starts getting very exciting.
Yeah.
And not only that, because the Oculus promise is like, yeah, gaming, but telecommuting and meetings and being there while not being there is going to be the real thing. And I'll be in my bedroom and you'll be in your kitchen at your place, and I'll have the Oculus on in the future, and I'll look over and be like, hey, look, there, Ian, what's going on? And I'm looking at you just like I'm looking at you now.
Yep.
So the idea of the virtual arena or the virtual stadium watching live content is very intriguing.
Yeah.
Interesting. You would think, no, that wouldn't work. Why the hell would I do that? I'm already at home watching the stream by myself. But you and I were at Evo this year, and you could be in the room. Yep. Or if you had the correct pass, of course, us with our media passes, we got full access. But if you didn't, there was the watch it from the other room card, and that room was packed because you want to experience it with other people. You want to be in the same room as other people. Now, can you replicate that experience 100% through a virtual space? Not yet.
Not yet.
We'll see. And I think that YouTube, with their functionality of being able to see it through the Oculus and all that business, might push us in that direction.
I agree. Although I can say one thing. I can imagine being at a live event and having the seat that I'm trying to sit in taken by a robot. That would piss me off.
But you could also get, like, everybody has a front row, right?
That's also true. Yeah, you just set up one camera and everybody's watching it from the same angle.
There you go. No. So that's the thing.
I think we need to stop talking about these ideas and instead make money off of them.
Oh, yeah, I know, right? Hey, that's all been...
You didn't hear any of that.
Anyway, but back to this. Super cool. Look, Mario Maker, a game that everybody's excited about. Not something that I would go to Twitch for, but something that I would watch videos. And in fact, after the Nintendo World Championship, one of my favorite experiences of that was the Mario Maker portion of that stream. It was so awesome. It was that, we're talking about experiencing something together. I was not in the audience. I was watching it from home, but man, I was getting so excited watching them like almost make it. And then when they figured it out and like they finished the level in such a cool way, I was digging it. This is something I would come to YouTube for.
And that's one of the cool things, something, once again, that I spoke to you a little bit about a little bit before the show, and that's the fact that one of the problems that people have with Twitch right now is that you can't call it a true zero-sum game. It isn't. The esports audience is growing. The more people that get into Counter-Strike, for example, the more people that find these accessible games from the mainstream, the more people are going to watch on Twitch. That is true. However, I think the question you have to ask yourself is Twitch at a point where if you take a user away from one stream, can you easily replace them? There's a saturation point. I've made the comment before that if you're not watching League of Legends, you're probably watching Counter-Strike. If you're not watching Counter-Strike, you're probably watching Dota.
You talk about Twitch?
I'm talking about Twitch.
I only watch Street Fighter on Twitch.
I'm sorry. I would accuse you. My apologies. YouTube, by bringing in these sort of casual games and bringing in esports, as it exists in esports titles at least, maybe not the content yet, but certainly the titles, and combining the two, there's a much greater opportunity for marrying the two audiences and growing the audience of both. You talked about Mario, what's it called?
Mario Maker.
Mario Maker.
Super Mario Maker.
I would not have, I completely forgot about that game until I logged into YouTube Gaming and saw it, and my immediate thought was, I should go check that out for a couple hours. Now I got work to do. So I didn't. But the simple fact remains that by juxtaposing this content, by putting all those games in a list, by showing things that are popular that Twitch streamers and YouTubers wouldn't necessarily find in each other's worlds, in each other's ecosystems, you put yourself in a position to increase the audience of both. I mean, and frankly, the fact that I can bounce from watching an esports stream, from watching the LCS, into a bunch of highlight reel videos from Call of Duty. That's reason enough for me to spend an entire Saturday on YouTube gaming. That's a big deal.
What's interesting, and somebody brought this up, somebody just wanted us to say, put Rocket League Pro Scene on an IMAX screen. That would be interesting, right? And you could do that. You can plug up your YouTube or your Twitch to an IMAX screen. That would be pretty cool. I would watch that.
I would watch that too.
The idea being, does it matter where you watch it? It used to be that, yes, Twitch was the big man on campus when it came to live streaming of video game content. And again, esports is not their only game that they play. There's a ton of that, let's play, we play, whatever the heck type of stuff. That being said, the esports portion of it, I think, definitely is dominated by Twitch. Yeah. It's funny now that potentially esports is the long tail of consumption of video game content, and YouTube just turned the key on their beast that they already had, the keys to that kingdom.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to a point that you made earlier, a question that you asked earlier, and that's, in order for YouTube gaming to succeed, do they need the esports audience? I'm sure they want it. I'm sure that it would increase their bottom line. increase their balance sheet.
It wouldn't hurt.
It wouldn't hurt.
Especially because we see, and you and I know, it's clear as day that year after year, esports is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. It's rivaling, in many cases, beating traditional sports. Forget the NCAA, AA. I mean, and the prize purses are bigger than the PGA Tour. I mean, it's there. There's no denying that esports is here to stay, and it's getting bigger. But to your question, does YouTube need it?
And I think the answer is no. I don't think they do. I think they'll. Let me go even further down the rabbit hole. Do I think they'll get it? And the answer, I think, is yes. Bold prediction here from the desk. They don't need it. They will get it, and it'll make a huge difference.
So I can imagine, and of course this is just speculation, but I can imagine Google having an easier time talking to Nintendo, for instance, saying, hey, guys, let's work together. And if you remember, when they announced YouTube Gaming and they had that cool little red heart thing that every diamond on it, or every pixel, or whatever you want to call it, on it had a different sound effect, a lot of those were Nintendo sounds.
You don't say.
And I thought to myself, that is a not very subtle way of saying. The other sounds that were on there were StarCraft sounds. So, and I think even Hearthstone sounds. So I'm like, okay, so does YouTube already have something in the works with Nintendo and Blizzard and others? Which to me would sound like a great idea to do that.
Yeah.
But do you, of course we're here on the outside talking about stuff that a lot of people know more about if you work at Twitch or work at YouTube Gaming. But that loyalty thing, man, I keep coming back to that loyalty thing. It's like, man, Twitch really created this landslide of a shift in how we consume our content.
Absolutely.
Of course, YouTube Gaming wanted that, or YouTube wanted it. I mean, at what point do you say, sorry, Twitch, we love you, you give us a lot of good times, but these guys are producing a better product, so peace?
I think that's an excellent question, because it does introduce that element of loyalty, community. Esports has been a very intimate affair for a very long time, and so the idea that people would jump ship on Twitch when they know the mods, they know the admins, they know the people that are running the front office, that's a difficult question to answer. I would counter by asking, will YouTube ever get those people? If YouTube is paying you a pretty penny, lots of money a day, and you know the people and you have that loyalty, is there any reason not to see a future where these two coexist and they have very specific audiences? You say, oh, well, if I want to watch League of Legends, bad example, League of Legends obviously is much bigger than either of these platforms, I think. They're broadcast plans. But you think, if I want to watch Heroes of the Storm, YouTube Gaming is where I go. If I want to watch Grand Theft Auto 5, YouTube Gaming is where I want to go. If I want to watch Counter-Strike, Twitch is where I want to go. Is there a future where these two coexist peacefully?
No, that ship has sailed, compadre, because they tried to work together. And I would love to hear all the real details. Like, how did it really go down when they were like, no, Twitch, we're going with Amazon. I remember hearing, talk about basically Amazon saying, we're going to let you do it the way you want to do it, whereas Google was like, we want to take your product and make it a Google/YouTube product. Of course, we were not in the room. We did not hear those discussions. But it'd be hard to turn down Google. Something pretty serious must have happened if you're going to be like, nah, we're going to go with somebody else. Twitch came in, and to their credit, Twitch has not really changed at all since they got acquired by Amazon.
What they're doing is obviously working.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have the Twitch chat up. I have the YouTube gaming chat up. We routinely stream to both. One for the convenience of course, we're talking about how people sometimes don't catch it live and they'll go get the VODs. Well, how convenient is it that if you stream it live to YouTube, it immediately turns it into a video when you're done on your channel. So just in case you didn't know, that's what we do around here. We stream to both. We swing both ways, so to speak. So let's see. Question. Do you think that now that this is a question from Timothy Mendiola? Do you think that now YouTube and Twitch will start to get exclusivity, like Riot only casting to LCS on Twitch or I am only casting on YouTube? This is what we're talking about, right?
Yes, it
like,
is.
do they start locking those down? Now do we have like the ABCs versus CBS versus NBC, the old networks, getting the rights to football or the NFL or something to that effect? Is that going to start to happen?
I think the answer is 100% yes.
Yeah.
This is the age when suddenly the people with the content, the people with things that people want to see become valued commodities. This is the age where as long as you've got the money to back it up, you lock down whatever revenue generating, whatever traffic generating opportunities that you can. It's the reason that I think we already hear, if we can wildly speculate, maybe the heart with the sound effects suggesting that Blizzard and Nintendo want to take a stab. Once again, I have no confirmation of that. Do not quote me on this. But if that in fact is a very subtle wink, why wouldn't you go to Nintendo or to Blizzard and be like, we want you on our channel now, name your price? Why wouldn't you? Especially as I discussed just a second ago, with the idea being there is no peaceful coexistence. If it's all out warfare, you got to get your guns. You gotta stock up your ammunition, and channels are that ammunition in this war.
It would make sense to me that it wouldn't be Nintendo games can only be streamed on YouTube Gaming.
Nope.
It would make more sense that specific events, would be
You get a little choked
exclusive
up?
to a little bit. I'm just so emotional. Games have come so long since my childhood. But no, I mean, it would make sense that, for instance, Blizzard is trying to get Heroes of the Storm to grow as a game. It's a great game, but they did this huge push for Heroes of the Dorm, and they're on ESPN.
Yep.
Well, let's partner with gaming.youtube and do our next Heroes of the Storm stuff exclusively for them, and YouTube will give them all the plugs, and they'll put them on the front page, and they have already a huge audience. People are going to be coming to gaming.youtube in larger numbers, potentially, than people who go to Twitch.
Yep.
Potentially.
So
they'll see it. Right off the bat, that's already, here I am making their business decisions for them.
But I think the path is clear. I mean, if you, as people who work in media, the path is pretty clear. If you want to make money, you get the people that generate money for you. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. And I do think that it will be events specifically, and not. I mean, because I can't imagine a world in which Nintendo says no more Nintendo games on Twitch. I mean, they've already drawn enough ire for the things they've done in the past in terms of interacting with the community. It would be a new. I don't want to say low. It would be a whole new kettle of fish if Nintendo were to do something like that.
But so that, and again, here I am, like I know, but it makes sense for, you hear of Google, that's a prestigious name. It carries a lot of weight.
It does.
Nintendo does as well. Now, that's why I say an event like, for example, some Splatoon tournament in Japan for $1 million, for instance.
Is there one of those coming up?
I think there is.
I believe so.
But compare that to, for instance, Summer Games Done Quick.
Yeah.
That to me, for some reason, just feels like something I would rather watch on Twitch. I'm not sure why. Maybe because it's a little rougher around the edges, more community driven, not so corporate, so to speak. Again, Twitch has done a ton of legwork in building, nurturing, investing in the communities.
Yeah.
That's why I say you can't count them out. Of course you can't count them out.
I'm so glad you just said that, because there was a point I wanted to make earlier. Now I'm getting choked up, that I completely flew out of my mind that I want to make now. And that's the fact that when I look at these two platforms, one thing that hits me right off the bat is the fact that Twitch was built on the backs of grassroots personalities. YouTube was built with the idea, well, it wasn't built with the idea, but it was quickly developed with the idea that everybody from corporations to the layman can develop a platform for themselves, can use this platform to develop a personality, a channel, an existence, a fingerprint in the world of digital media. When I look at YouTube gaming, one thing that I definitely see is the ability, since we are an organization, we're not just two dudes on a camera, I see the ability to develop graphically, structurally, in terms of programming, develop in a very formal sense this property on YouTube. What I see on Twitch, as you talked about with AGDQ, SGDQ, these things that are sort of rough around the edges, is that's the place to go if you're an individual streaming and you want to just casually stream your content. I feel like YouTube, at least to me, at first blush, feels like the better play for people that want to do more prepared content, both live and post-production, like us. And Twitch is the better platform for people that want to interact with the chat. They want the Kappas, they want the Franker Zs, they want those sort of precious moments that turn into hilarious, Twitch highlights. I think that's really because YouTube and Twitch will try to pitch that they're in the same competition, but I think that their targets are very different.
Regardless of how it all ends up shaking out, YouTube gaming owes a massive debt of gratitude to all the legwork that we're talking about that Twitch did.
You're absolutely right.
I was talking, I mentioned earlier, I name dropped that I talked to Fishsticks in 2011. It was for the Lone Star Clash 2 held here. We're in Austin, Texas. It was held at the campus, UT campus. It was a great tournament. There were big names. Ben Collar was there in person. They show up.
Yeah, absolutely.
They are there to help nurture and develop. What can we help you with? The stream, everything from the stream to the sponsors to the players to this, that, and the other. They're there putting in the work. It's not just like slap our name on the stream.
No, not at all. And I think that you really got to the heart of it when you said that. Part of the reason that Twitch's community exists is because they've been very active as members of the community that they've helped create. There have been times where we've been streaming to an audience of 250, far cry from the 50,000 that some people get, but we've got a wrench in our chat saying, how are things going? What's the scuttlebutt? Even just checking out the content. The admins, the maintenance people, the people who are running the show are just as invested in the personalities and the content that they're putting on their own site as the people who are producing it. And I think that's really cool. Is that going to be a problem for YouTube gaming? Is that sort of corporate distance, the fact that they're such a large player, going to be a problem?
Prior to the show, you guys mentioned a name, and this is a guy I'm not familiar with, so hopefully you can fill me in. Fwiz,
yes. Ryan Wyatt used to work with MLG for Call of Duty events. He also worked with Optic Gaming for a while. Became a member of Machinima Live when they were sort of at their peak. I don't remember exactly what his position was, but yes, Fwiz heavily involved in this product.
So what the reason I bring that up is because it's not like YouTube doesn't have people that are part of the community, right?
Correct.
That have their feet in the mud, so to speak. Again, taking a page from Twitch's book, your thoughts on that play?
That's actually really that's something I actually had not considered until you brought it up. The fact remains that Fwiz is a guy born and bred, grown and released from the nest by Twitch. He's been in. He knows what esports communities and what gaming communities look like, and he's coming to one of the largest gaming communities in the world. I think that while I don't know Ryan,
time out, bro. I'm gonna interrupt you just for a second so you can see what's happening on this stream chat behind us. This is a Minecraft stream, and this dude is live building the YouTube gaming logo.
That's beautiful.
If that's not an indication of, to me that says, thank you.
And I
love you, right?
Yeah. And I remember reading I pointed out to you earlier when we were looking at streams earlier, there was one comment that kept coming up was, I didn't even know you had a Twitch stream. I had no idea.
What does that say to you?
That says to me that if you've got a following on YouTube, then you've got a following on YouTube gaming. If you've got a following on YouTube gaming, I have no doubt that will translate effortlessly into a following on YouTube. And as we've seen in the past, a following on YouTube can do a lot for you.
Not just in gaming, but certainly in gaming.
Certainly, exactly. Yeah.
Any final thoughts before we wrap up our discussion here on the long-awaited YouTube gaming, which officially, if you guys want to check it out, it's gaming.youtube.com. Your final thoughts on it?
Final thoughts are, if you're an industry nerd like I am, this is an extremely exciting time. We're going over the next year and a half, there's going to be a lot of movement, a lot of big announcement, a lot of big plays. It's a very exciting time. And as somebody who creates content, I cannot wait, honestly, tonight to sink my teeth into this and see just what we can make it do. And I don't know, it's just, I'm a total geek for this kind of stuff. When a new to-do list app launches on the App Store, I'm all abouts. And this is like a dream come true for me as a gamer / broadcaster. It's a very exciting time.
Do you have to-do lists that tell you to go look for to-do list apps on the App Store?
Well, I really arbitrarily just like chuck them. I'm like, well, this one's old. It obviously doesn't work anymore. So.
For me, and maybe this is like on a slightly rose-colored glasses type, I feel validated as well type of thing. Journalists covering video games, it wasn't a thing a little while ago.
It sure wasn't.
The world is evolving around us so rapidly that it definitely, dare I say, validates to a degree everything we're doing.
Yeah.
Just because it's clear that other people see what we've been seeing. Correct. Yo, time out. What's going on with this YouTube gaming emote here? This guy put a sword through it.
What is he doing?
I think that might be a Minecraft sword. So anyway, the point maybe he's trying to say.
Well, I see.
Look at that. Broke his heart. That's a Twitch sword going through that YouTube gaming heart. Anyway, I as well am very excited to see. I'm glad that both Twitch and YouTube are putting as much love and effort into this.
I agree.
And I'm excited to see where we go.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you know who wins in this fight? We do.
Yeah.
Gamers do.
And also our audience.
Agreed.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
You've been watching a special edition of The Leaderboard. We've been talking about YouTube gaming, which launched today, main competitor to Twitch. We're excited to see how all that shakes out. I'm Efren Salinas.
I'm Ian Barker.
Thank you for watching, guys.